To prove that humans and zombies can also coexist, I simply tied up a relatively clean female zombie. Just because a zombie virus suddenly broke out, nearly 90% of humanity turned into zombies. But by a strange twist of fate, I activated a system, completely unrelated to the apocalypse, a dating sim. Right at that moment, a sweet-looking zombie girl suddenly appeared in front of me. At that moment, I realized the system didn't specify that the target must be human, right? After all, with such a beautiful female zombie, it would be a waste of God's gifts to miss out. No sooner said than done. I immediately pulled a rope out of my pocket, found the right moment, and threw it hard. I caught the female zombie with pinpoint accuracy. She let out a piercing howl on the spot. But the next second, a rag was stuffed into her mouth. Looking at the living human before her, the female zombie instantly fell into a frenzy. Her little head kept trying to lunge at me, but I grabbed her hand instead. Right then, the system's notification rang out in my head. Ding! Congratulations to the host for completing the hand-holding mission. Target, Shen Qingwu. Identity, female college student. Current status, zombie. Affection level, 0. Hand-holding reward, 100 kilograms of raw meat. First kiss reward, zombie virus vaccine. Full conquest reward, gene purification potion. Looking at the reward list that popped up, my eyes nearly bulged out of my head. Just this 100 kilograms of raw meat alone means I don't have to worry about food anymore. Not to mention the 2 heaven-defying rewards later. But the most pressing issue right now is how to increase Shen Qingwu's affection level. My mind raced, and I decided to test it out. As soon as I pulled the rag from Shen Qingwu's mouth, she started roaring at me frantically. That terrifying teeth-grinding sound made my scalp tingle. Without a word, I immediately took a piece of raw meat from the system space. With quick hands, I stuffed it into her mouth, and the roaring stopped instantly. She then began to tear and bite into the meat crazily. Seeing this scene, I sighed helplessly. For now, it seems I can't count on that first kiss reward yet. Suddenly, the door opposite opened with a creak, and a man and a woman walked out. The woman spoke bluntly. Hey, brother. My husband and I haven't eaten for 2 days. You have so much food that you're feeding it to a zombie. Could you share some with us too? I knew them all too well. The man was Shen Liang. The woman was Lin Wanxi, a young married couple. They usually lived on food delivery and didn't have any food stored at home. In my previous life, I was too naive. I believed their honeyed words and foolishly shared my food with them. The result was they repaid my kindness with betrayal. While I was out searching for supplies, they ransacked my room and locked the door from the outside. No matter how I shouted, they wouldn't open it. To ungrateful wolves like them, how could I be stupid enough to give food again? However, this Lin Wanxi before me could be used for something. As soon as this thought popped into my head, the system interface appeared before my eyes. Name, Lin Wanxi. Identity, married woman. Affection level, 0. Hand-holding reward, 100 kilograms of fresh fruits and vegetables. First kiss reward, a 120 SQM fully furnished apartment. Full conquest reward, a 1000 SQM luxury villa. Seeing these rewards, I couldn't help but smirk. This is a whole 100 kilograms of fresh produce. Even though I have 100 kilograms of meat from the system, in this apocalypse, besides filling your belly, a balanced diet is also very important. When the couple saw me smile, they thought I had agreed to their request. Shen Liang even opened his mouth like a lion. Give us 5 kilograms of pork first, and then 3 barrels of purified water. I almost laughed out of sheer anger. When did I ever agree to your request? My food. Even if I had so much I couldn't finish it and fed it to dogs, I would never give it to ungrateful wolves like you. After saying that, I just turned around and brought Shen Qingwu back to my room. Shen Liang gritted his teeth in anger, but he didn't dare act because he was afraid of the zombie. After returning to the room, I tied Shen Qingwu to a chair and casually clicked open the system panel. To my surprise, Shen Qingwu's affection level actually rose by 5 points. This made me recall the late stage of the apocalypse in my previous life. Those evolved zombies that developed intelligence. Could it be that Shen Qingwu can also evolve? And just by feeding her 1 piece of meat, the affection level increased by 5 points? This is much simpler than wooing a normal girl. Thinking of this, I took out several more pieces of raw meat from the system space to feed her, successfully grinding the affection level up to 10 points. I wanted to continue feeding, but looking at her round, little belly, after stuffing a rag back into her mouth, I began planning my next moves. 1 month after the zombie outbreak, the extreme cold apocalypse will arrive. In the remaining 20+ days, I must prepare enough supplies and medical drugs. Those are manageable, but the most crucial thing is a safe house. I have no lead on that yet. This safe house must not only be sturdy, but also provide a comfortable temperature in extreme cold. Finding an existing building that meets all conditions is practically impossible. According to my memories of the past life, no such place exists in all of Binhai City. Suddenly, I remembered Lin Wanxi's first kiss reward and hurriedly called out to the system. System, is the house reward an existing one? Or can it appear out of thin air? The system responded. All reward houses are built out of thin air. The host can designate any construction site. What if I have special requirements for the house? Like using titanium alloy and having secret exits, warehouses, medical and communication equipment? The system fell silent for a few seconds, then said, host needs to provide architectural blueprints. Additionally, communication and medical equipment are not included and must be resolved by the host. Hearing the system say this, I felt relieved. The safe house is now sorted. Just then, there was a sudden knock on the door. Lin Wansi was standing alone at the door. She had waited so long for someone to open up, anxious, like an ant on a hot pan. In both ends of the dark corridor, who knew if a zombie would suddenly leap out? Just as she was about to give up, the door finally opened. A look of joy appeared on Lin Wansi's face. But when she saw me holding a weapon, her heart tightened. She hurriedly explained, don't misunderstand. I'm not carrying any weapons. I narrowed my eyes and sized her up carefully. Lin Wansi also noticed my gaze. If it were in the past. But since she needed something from me now, she could only force a stiff smile. I want to borrow some food from you. I glanced at her disdainfully. Not lending. I won't let you lose out. As long as you lend me some food, I don't buy that at all. If you don't say anything useful, I'm closing the door. Lin Wansi stood frozen after hearing this. Aren't you afraid a zombie will suddenly jump out? Just as she spoke, a roar came from deep within the corridor. Lin Wansi instantly turned pale with fright. She had no choice but to brace herself and enter the room. At the moment I closed the door, I happened to lock eyes with Shen Liang diagonally across. He realized I had spotted him and immediately pulled his head back. I chuckled and shut the door. A true natural-born ninja turtle, top tier at hiding his head. Inside the room, when Shen Qingwu saw Lin Wansi, she instantly became manic. Lin Wansi backed away in fear. She let out a startled cry and backed away. How can you keep a zombie in your house? Aren't you afraid at all? I said calmly, what's there to be afraid of? It's just a zombie. These words made her involuntarily compare me to Shen Liang, thinking, if her husband had even half my courage, she wouldn't have to come here and endure this humiliation. At that thought, Lin Wansi sighed and said, tell me, what do you want me to do to give me food? A few minutes later, she returned to the living room. She shouted at me in a terrible tone, I've done everything you asked. Where's the food? I deliberately opened the fridge slowly, letting her see that it was stuffed with fresh meat. At that moment, a thought flashed through Lin Wansi's mind. Should she just knock him unconscious? But rationality finally won over. In fact, I had been guarding against her moves all along. Lin Wansi ultimately didn't dare to strike. This actually made me feel a bit disappointed. I was just one step away from self-defense. I took out about 1/2 kilogram of pork and tossed it in front of her. She stared at the meat on the floor with a grimace. You're only giving me this much? It's already a lot. I originally planned to give you only 250 grams. Lin Wansi had no idea that in this apocalypse, 1/2 kilogram of meat was precious. She only remembered when Shen Liang married her. The dowry was 880,000, and the house deed only had his name on it. Lin Wansi took a deep breath and finally bent down to pick up the pork. She walked out with a cold face. Seeing her humiliated state, I wasn't angry but amused. The more miserable she felt, the stronger my sense of revenge. Then, I happily pulled up the system panel. The house and the produce were both ready to claim. Although a 100 square meter house is a bit small, I have a way to solve it. As long as I find another woman with a similar status to Lin Wansi, I can expand on top of that 100 square meters. The only problem now is the blueprints for the safe house. According to memories from my previous life, a group of survivors lived in Binhai University, and there might be architecture students among them. It seems I have to head out no matter what. Early next morning, I started looting for supplies. The first target was Unit 504 across the hall. I skillfully pulled out a wire, poked it into the lock, and easily bypassed it. Just as I walked in, I heard chewing sounds coming from the bedroom. I pushed the bedroom door open softly. An elderly zombie with white hair was feasting on a corpse. I muttered, what is this? I grabbed a kitchen knife and swung it at the zombie. Unexpectedly, that strike didn't do much damage. Instead, it completely enraged him. He turned and lunged at me with bared claws. I kicked him square in the chest, sending him flying backward. Then I rushed up and stomped a few more times, until he completely stopped moving. Snapping back to reality, I realized the knife already had 2 notches. After all, it's just a kitchen knife. It's fine for meat, but hacking at zombie bones is a bit much for it. Seems it's time to find a more suitable weapon. Around noon, I finally finished clearing all 6 rooms. On the 5th floor, totaled 3 zombies killed. Found a crate of malt juice, 7 bottles of assorted pills, and a tub of protein powder. Though it was a good haul, this sharp kitchen knife was now completely ruined. Luckily, I found a baseball bat, swung it twice, and it felt quite right. Meanwhile, Lin Wanzi and Shen Liang watched through the peephole as I hacked the zombies. My crazed look made them both gulp, silently relieved they hadn't looked for trouble before, or they'd be dead by now. Only after hearing the door close next door did they dare to come out. They searched each room carefully, hoping to find any food I might have missed. Unfortunately, I had searched too thoroughly. They couldn't find a single thing. Is that bastard a locust? He didn't leave a single scrap. Shen Liang glanced at his wife. Why don't you go ask him for more food? Lin Wanzi looked reluctant. We just ate yesterday. We're not that hungry yet. Maybe we shouldn't go yet. We're not hungry now, but we will be sooner or later. Are you going to wait until he's fed all the food to zombies before you're willing to ask? Seeing her hesitate, Shen Liang immediately grabbed her hand with feigned sincerity. I want to survive with you. I'm sure we can wait until the rescue team arrives. Looking at her husband's pleading eyes, Lin Wanzi bit her lip. Fine. I'll go. The moment Lin Wanzi entered, she smelled an enticing aroma. I walked into the kitchen and soon came out carrying a rice cooker. Inside was a full pot of stewed potatoes. I opened another bottle of malt juice and sat comfortably on the sofa to eat. Lin Wanzi gulped at the smell, but seeing I didn't say anything, she could only stand there awkwardly. Almost forgot about you. I ate a few bites before acting like I just remembered her. Saying that, I got up, took a plate, and put some meat on it. Lin Wanzi thought it was for her, just as she reached out joyfully to take it. I walked right past her toward the sofa. After pulling the rag from Shen Xingwu's mouth, she immediately buried her head in the plate and devoured it hungrily. Lin Wanzi's face was full of embarrassment. She coughed to change the subject. You cleared the entire 5th floor today? Yeah, I'm getting ready to leave. Gathering more supplies before I go. What? You're leaving? There are zombies everywhere outside. Where can you possibly go? Lin Wanzi's eyes widened upon hearing this. I smiled. Why? Don't want me to leave? Lin Wanzi heard this and said angrily, who the hell wants you to stay? I'd rather you die out there. Now tell me, why did you really come to see me? I want to trade for food. But despite her words, there was a hint of worry in her eyes. If I left with all the food, I couldn't help but chuckle. I expected Lin Wanzi to come back, but I didn't expect her to be this thick-skinned. 4 days passed in a flash. I had turned the entire building upside down. And during these days, Shen Xingwu's appetite was getting scarier. From needing only 250 grams to be full, to now over a kilogram not being enough to fill her teeth. But her belly didn't show any bloating at all. If the affection points hadn't been rising, I really wouldn't want to feed her anymore. Regardless of whether she understood, I started threatening her. I've been feeding you for 6 days. If you dare try to bite me again, I'll leave you here to fend for yourself. I removed the rag from her mouth. She didn't roar like she did at first. Instead, she opened her mouth, waiting to be fed. If you dare bite me, I won't give you any food. Got that? Since you're quiet, I'll take that as a yes. I tentatively reached my hand towards Shen Xingwu, and she unhesitatingly opened her mouth to bite. I immediately barked, no. She was startled by my shout, then tilted her head and looked at me. But Shen Xingwu still tried to bite. We went back and forth over a dozen times. Just as I was about to give up, she finally stopped trying to bite, and just stared blankly at my face, seeming to try and judge by my expression whether this thing was edible or not. And nodded at him. This time he started eating directly. After trying a few more times, he would only eat after I nodded. To verify if he could only restrain his aggression when he was tied up, I decided to do another experiment. First, I untied the ropes on his body, then placed a plate of meat on the coffee table. Shen Xingwu stood up unsteadily and walked toward me. He first looked at the meat on the table, then looked at me sideways. Then he raised his hand and pointed at the meat on the plate. I was ecstatic in my heart and nodded at him. Only then did Shen Xingwu pick up the plate and started devouring it. I carefully reached out again. I have to say, his table manners are still quite terrible. However, the good news is, even though Shen Xingwu's favorability is only 40, he is already able to refrain from attacking me. If I can get his favorability up to 100, won't I have an obedient zombie lackey? What kind of romance system is this? It's clearly a master-servant cultivation system. Meanwhile, on the other side, Shen Liang has been restless for the past few days. He already knows that I am about to leave, whether for food or for revenge. He doesn't want me to leave alive, but on his own, he definitely has no chance. After all, I'm a tough guy who can easily take on a zombie alone. So, Shen Liang started plotting with his wife again. Wife, we absolutely cannot let that kid next door leave. At least, we can't let him take the food with him. Why don't you go borrow food one more time? Wait until he's asleep, then open the door and let me in. We'll take the opportunity to kill him. Out of guilt? Lin Wanxi complied with almost all of his requests, and eventually nodded her head. Shen Liang was instantly excited. Great! We'll act as soon as it gets dark. I'll go get ready first. Watching Shen Liang's departing back, Lin Wanxi gave a bitter smile. He didn't even ask about the specific plan. It seems he already knew what would happen. On the other side, because I plan to leave early tomorrow morning, I prepared to go to bed early. But just as I lay down, I heard a knock at the door. I pulled open the door, a smirk hanging on the corner of my mouth. Hungry again so soon? Hearing this, Lin Wanxi cursed in her heart, wishing she could throw a punch right at my face. But she still held back, even forcing out a seductive expression. I'm more than just hungry. I stepped aside to make way. Come in. Just as Lin Wanxi walked past me, I raised my hand and gave her a slap. You must give me one more biscuit. Ha ha ha. That jelly-like touch made me truly praise it. Lin Wanxi clutched her rear, glaring at me angrily. Her fuming but not daring to speak look made me burst into laughter. Is being a jerk this satisfying? I don't feel a shred of sympathy for her, considering how they treated me in my past life. This is karma. Lin Wanxi lowered her head, a burning fire flickering in her eyes. After tonight, let's see if you can still laugh. A few hours later, Lin Wanxi came out trembling, leaning against the wall. It was only a dozen steps from the bedroom to the door, yet it took her several minutes. As soon as she opened the door, Shen Liang slipped inside. How is it? Is he asleep? He's asleep. Excellent. I'm going to finish him off now. After saying that, Shen Liang tightened his grip on the fruit knife. But before he could go far, he saw a figure standing at the bedroom door. This scared the living daylights out of Shen Liang. Didn't you say he was asleep? Lin Wanxi was also startled, but immediately realized something was wrong. This is the zombie that bastard is keeping. How did he break free from the ropes? Husband, what do we do? Should we retreat first? Shen Liang was having an internal struggle. Although he was afraid of zombies, he knew even better that if they missed tonight, they'd never have another chance. Besides, Shen Xingwu looked dull and stupid, which gave Shen Liang the illusion that he could handle it himself. But to be safe, he still said to Lin Wanxi, Wife, you go and distract him. I'll finish him from behind. Don't worry, I won't let him hurt you. Hearing this, Lin Wanxi trembled with fear. Shen Liang made such a promise, but in his heart, he was already prepared to sell out his wife at any moment. But how could Lin Wanxi agree? She didn't love Shen Liang enough to die for him. Just then, my impatient voice came from the bedroom door. What's all the noise in the middle of the night? Upon hearing my voice, Shen Liang and Lin Wanxi's hearts almost leaped out of their throats. He actually wasn't asleep. With you two being so noisy, even if I were asleep, I'd be woken up. Looking at the calm smile on my face, Lin Wanxi's face turned pale. Ah, Liang. Let the zombie hold him back. Let's run. Are you talking about him? Under their disbelieving gazes, I reached out and rubbed Shen Xingwu's head. Not only did he not attack me, he obediently let me pet him. This scene scared them so much they nearly peed. How is this possible? Not only does he not look like a zombie, how can his habits be completely different from other zombies? Lin Wanxi still held a glimmer of hope, thinking I'd be reluctant to kill her. But I coldly replied, You don't know you're wrong. You just know you're going to die. Then Shen Xingwu leaned over and pointed at the two corpses on the ground. I shook my head. No, these are already spoiled. The next morning, I took Shen Xingwu and left the apartment on a motorcycle. It's worth mentioning that the roaring engine along the way attracted countless zombies, but those slow-moving fellows could only watch me with longing eyes. Arriving at Binhai University, to shake off the zombie army behind me, I was about to find any building to hide in. Suddenly, I heard someone calling me. I hesitated for a moment, then ditched the motorcycle and ran toward them. The person who called out saw me coming and quickly moved away from the window. I propped myself on the window frame with one hand and vaulted inside stylishly. But Shen Qinglu's body was stiff and he couldn't climb windows. Shen Liang could only stand blankly outside toward me. A few helpful male students wanted to lend a hand and turned to run toward the door, but I pushed them back. No need. After 2 steps, I caught up and knocked him down with a club. I'll do it. Wait, I have something to say. I leaned out my upper body. Please don't kill me. Clamped my hands under Shen Qinglu's armpits, but I couldn't be bothered with his nonsense, and pulled him inside without much effort, and finished him off cleanly. Then, a guy who looked like a rich second generation spoke up. You must be sent by my dad to save us, right? This guy's name is Ji-Yu Cheng-Yu. Relying on his status as the mayor's son, he fooled others by saying his dad would send people to save them. Because of this, he had become the leader of this group of survivors. I ignored his outstretched hand. Who the hell are you? Do I know you? Ji-Yu Cheng-Yu's face instantly turned sour. He said that just to show off, but he didn't expect me to give him no face at all. To regain his dignity, he began to put on the airs of a leader. In other words, you're a survivor, just like us. In that case, you must follow our rules. A lackey behind him immediately stepped forward, trying to grab my backpack. I slapped his hand away and took a step back. What do you think you're doing? Ji-Yu Cheng-Yu acted with an air of self-righteousness. For the sake of everyone's survival, please hand over your supplies. We will manage the distribution. I snorted coldly. Whether you live or die, does it have anything to do with me? Listen to that. Ji-Yu Cheng-Yu deliberately raised his voice so that everyone could hear. If everyone were as selfish as you, we would have starved to death long ago. We are doing this to maximize the rational use of resources. Watching this, Lin Wanxi was scared out of her wits. I couldn't stand listening anymore. This was all Shen Liang's idea, so I directly interrupted him. He wanted to harm you. Your lives have nothing to do with me. It has nothing to do with me. Please forgive me. I have no intention of joining your group. I swear. So I will never hand over my supplies. I'll serve you like a master from now on. Ji-Yu Cheng-Yu smiled coldly and pointed his hand out the window. Then I'm sorry. Please leave immediately. Outside the window, the zombies I had lured earlier were scrambling and drooling against the glass. Of course I wouldn't leave now. Besides, I haven't achieved my goal here yet. There are so many classrooms here. I'll leave naturally after staying for a few days. Faced with me, an outsider, the students were more willing to listen to Ji-Yu Cheng-Yu, so they surrounded me with righteous indignation. Who do you think you are, talking to young Master Ji-Yu like that? If we hadn't saved you just now, you'd be dead already. Exactly. This is a school. What right do you have, as an outsider, to stay in our classroom? I couldn't help but let out a dry laugh. You're trying to talk reason to me in the apocalypse? Furthermore, what if I insist on staying by force? Do you greenhouse flowers who've never seen blood really dare to lay a hand on someone like me, who crawled out of a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood? Just as the tension between the two sides reached a breaking point, a beautiful woman in a long dress with a refreshing aura walked in. What's going on here? This guy, Lu He, wants to sponge off us. We were just about to kick him out. Lu, his brow furrowed slightly. If he wants to stay, just let him stay. We have so many empty classrooms. Why drive people away? Aren't you just sending him to his death? Everyone, disperse. The students hesitated and looked at Ji-Yu Cheng-Yu. Only when he nodded did the crowd scatter. Then Lu He's gaze passed over me and landed on Shen Qingwu. Is this your sister? Something like that. Hello, little sister. What's your name? And why are your eyes so red? His enthusiasm met with no response whatsoever. I quickly stepped forward to explain. She's wearing contacts. My sister is a bit introverted. She doesn't like to talk. Please don't mind. The other party easily believed my lies. Then you two should stay for now. The first to third floors are safe. You can pick any empty classroom. But remember, the fourth floor and above are very dangerous. Noon arrived quickly. In front of a classroom door labeled storage, about a dozen students were lining up. They were all waiting to receive today's rations. But most people only received a few biscuits. Ji-Yu Cheng-Yu, meanwhile, hid in the storage room, surreptitiously eating a chicken leg he'd swindled. But just then, a rich aroma of meat wafted over. The dozen or so people stopped lining up. They all looked toward the source of the smell. Following the aroma, one by one, they rushed downstairs. Right now, in a classroom on the second floor, I was lighting a fire and cooking. That group's eyes turned red with envy. Ji-Yu Cheng-Yu even walked straight in. Friend, can we trade our biscuits for some of your food? I didn't pay them any mind. Those moldy pieces of junk don't just taste bad, they don't fill the stomach either. Ji-Yu Cheng-Yu wanted to say more, but I couldn't be bothered. I walked out carrying a bowl of meat. Want to eat? Everyone nodded hurriedly. I then cleared my throat. Are any of you studying architecture? Soon as I said this, the scene went dead silent. After a long while, someone spoke up weakly. The architecture students are in the other building. They've probably all turned into zombies by now. Hearing this, I was greatly disappointed. My main purpose for coming here was to find someone who could design a safe house blueprint. Now it seems like a wasted trip. But just then, I'm an architecture major. Everyone looked toward the voice. The speaker was a girl with pigtails and black-rimmed glasses, looking quite timid. With so many people staring at her, the girl was clearly a bit nervous. I sized her up suspiciously. With such a cowering appearance, it was hard not to suspect she was just here to scrounge for food. Seeming to sense the disdain in my eyes, the girl with pigtails plucked up her courage. My name is Ruan Yuan. I'm the top student in our major. If you don't believe me, you can ask the other students. I believe you. However, can you draw blueprints? She suddenly looked up, looking at me with a face full of surprise. I didn't believe her out of nowhere, of course, but because the system in front of me had changed. Name, Ruan Yuan Yuan. Favorability, 0. Hand-holding reward, solar power equipment. Or a sewage purification device, choose one. First kiss reward, a set of monitoring systems. Full conquest reward, 4 automatic cannons. Plus 100 rounds of specialized ammunition. My goodness, these rewards are better than the last. If I can get them all, the upgrade to the safe house will be world-shaking. Back to my question. Ruan Yuan Yuan nodded timidly. Then, can you draw some rather special architectural blueprints? In Ruan Yuan Yuan's small head, a large question mark immediately popped up. However, for the sake of food, she still agreed. Okay. Good, I've hired you. Your pay, 1 bowl of meat and 1 bowl of vegetables every day. Ruan Yuan Yuan originally thought just a little meat would be good. She didn't expect there would be vegetables too. She happily accepted the job immediately. One man's joy is another man's sorrow. Jiyu Qingyu glared at me fiercely, then slunk away with his lackeys. Coming to the stairwell, a lackey named Lu Ye glanced left and right. Only after confirming no one was following did he speak. Young Master Jiyu. That kid is too arrogant. Why don't we just kill him? Jiyu Qingyu pondered for a moment. No? You saw his skill in dealing with the zombies during the day. We are simply not his match. At this moment, Jiyu Qingyu wanted to deal with me more than anyone. Unfortunately, his strength didn't allow it. The lackey Lu Ye wanted to say something else, but Jiyu Qingyu had already brushed him off and left. Lu Ye looked at his back and snorted coldly. You've got your own gourmet meat and wine? So of course you look down on his food. But I'm still starving! On the other side, Ruan Yuan Yuan finished her meal, licking the corners of her mouth with lingering desire. Seeing this, I asked if she wanted some more. No thanks, I've already finished today's pay. If I overdraw tomorrow's, I'll have to go hungry tomorrow. Then let's get to work. Tell me your requirements. I want a blueprint for a safe house, covering an area of 100 square meters. The strength must be high. It also needs a warehouse, an escape route, a resting area, and a shower room. If it's 100 square meters, it's still too small for a safe house, because we still need to set aside areas for planting and breeding. I glanced at her with some surprise. This girl is even more thoughtful than I am. Exactly, so you also need to leave space for expansion. I understand. I'll start working right now. Hearing this, I asked her excitedly how long it would take to finish the drawing. Probably a few days. If there are subsequent revisions, it will take another 2 or 3 days. My brow furrowed instantly. According to my memories of my past life, a cold wave will hit in over a week. If we haven't moved into the safe house by then, we'll freeze to death in this drafty school building. I need you to finish the blueprints within 7 days. Do you have the confidence? Ruan Yuan Yuan hesitated at first, but her eyes soon became determined. No problem, 7 days it is. I took Shen Xingwu to the rooftop, wanting to find a suitable place to build the safe house. Soon, I discovered an empty lot on the hill behind the school. It's blocked by the school building in front and backed by the mountain. It's very hard to notice unless you enter the school. Moreover, the number of zombies here is small. I grabbed a baseball bat and prepared to clear the area. Climbing out through a window on the first floor, I scanned the surroundings. There were 4 zombies wandering nearby. Even though I carefully clubbed one to death, I still alerted the other 3. The one rushing at the front was a guy in a t-shirt. Looks like he was an athlete before he died. Unlike those slow-moving zombies, this athlete zombie ran incredibly fast. He rushed in front of me in the blink of an eye. I calmly dodged with a flash and swung my bat at him. As expected of an athlete, this zombie could still move after taking a hit. I immediately followed up with another blow. Just then, the 3rd zombie lunged at me. I took him down with a leg sweep, followed by 2 more hits. But then, the last zombie pounced on me. I didn't have time to get up before being pinned to the ground. The zombie opened its huge bloody maw and bit down on my baseball bat, gnawing on it vigorously. I cursed under my breath, trying to throw the zombie off, but I failed after several attempts. Just as I mustered all my strength for another try, a slender little hand suddenly grabbed the zombie's throat and threw him flying away. I turned my head in surprise and found that the owner of that hand was actually Shen Qingwu. At that moment, the zombie that was thrown away charged back with a roar. Before I could even stand up, Shen Qingwu instantly grabbed the zombie's neck and gave it a hard twist. With a sharp crack, the zombie's head went limp and it fell to the ground. Holy crap! I didn't expect the seemingly weak Shen Qingwu to be so strong. It seems my guess was right. Back when I saw Shen Qingwu's skin changing from grayish-white slowly to a pinkish hue, I had my suspicions. Now it's finally confirmed. I opened the system panel to take a look and found that Shen Qingwu's favorability had risen to 50. She's much easier to please than a normal woman. Just give her some food. She can even protect me. As I stared at her, Shen Qingwu's face remained calm, as if she wasn't the one who had just acted. After resting for a while, I continued clearing zombies. Shen Qingwu only steps in when my life is in danger. Otherwise, she just silently watches from the side. It seems if I want to command her to work, I need to keep increasing her favorability. I kept busy until it started getting late. Then I headed back to the school building. Coming to the men's restroom, I was about to strip and wash off the blood, but I noticed Shen Qingwu had followed me in, showering in front of a woman. This really is a first, though it felt a bit unnatural. I reminded myself that she's just a zombie after all. Soon, having finished my shower and preparing to change, I suddenly looked at Shen Qingwu. Though I don't know if zombies sweat, the earlier fight had left her covered in blood too, so I decided to help her wash as well. At this moment, Shen Qingwu was staring straight at me. Even though I knew her mind didn't distinguish between male and female, my face still turned red. I gritted my teeth and quickly undid her clothes. That fair, jade-like skin almost blinded me. Just looking at her made my blood race. I quickly repeated in my mind that she's a zombie, which helped me calm down a bit. I hurried to wash her quickly. A minute later, the cleaning was done. I looked up and met Shen Qingwu's eyes. All right? You should feel a bit better now. But she just stared straight into my eyes. Differently from before, there seemed to be a flicker of emotion in her gaze. I wasn't sure if it was just my imagination. So out of curiosity, I leaned in for a closer look. The next second, Shen Qingwu's body suddenly leaned forward. I totally didn't expect a sneak attack. There was no time to dodge. But the savage biting I expected didn't happen. A soft and slightly sweet sensation came from my lips. My eyes were wide with shock, until the system's notification sounded. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the first KISS reward. Zombie virus vaccine. After use, you will be immune to zombie virus infection. Only then did I snap back to reality. Looking at Shen Qingwu's favorability on the system panel, I was shocked again. I didn't expect that just giving her a simple bath would cause her favorability to soar to 60, straight into the liking stage. I closed the system panel and asked Shen Qingwu, do you have feelings now? Shen Qingwu tilted her head, looking somewhat cute and dazed. Clearly, she couldn't understand such a complex word. So I switched to a simpler question. Can you understand what I'm saying? This time, she nodded. I tried asking a few more questions, but whenever it got slightly complicated, Shen Qingwu would lapse into a blank stare. It seems expecting her to act independently is still unrealistic. But as favorability increases, maybe she really will regain human emotions. By then, she'll surely understand more complex orders. However, for now, let's just get out of this restroom first. Back in the classroom, I asked Yuan about it, and learned that I just think she might be useful to you. I took out the zombie virus vaccine and injected it straight into my arm, pushing the entire vial of medicine in. Now the threat from zombies is even smaller for me. At this time, on the third floor of the school building, two figures were sneakily heading toward the stairs. One of them had a worried look on his face. Will we really be okay doing this? The other one spoke disdainfully. What could happen? No matter how well he fights, there are only two of them. And one of them is just a little girl, Tiju. You're not scared of a girl, are you? This person was Lu Ye. Soon, they found that both the front and back doors were locked from the inside. But that couldn't stop Lu Ye, who had plenty of experience skipping classes. He fiddled with the window and pushed it open, then flipped inside with a jump. Tiju wasn't as nimble as Lu Ye. He first hooked one leg over the window to straddle it. But just as he was about to bring the other leg over, he noticed that short figure in the classroom, rising bolt upright. Frightened, he stammered nervously. Lu Yi, someone's here. Lu Ye instantly became alert. Unfortunately, it was already too late. He only felt a cold sensation in his chest. A slender arm had pierced right through his chest. Tiju was scared to death on the spot. He turned around to run, but his chest was also pierced through by a hand. Shen Qingwu looked at his hands covered in blood. A sudden surge of hunger rose in his mind. That impulse drove him to want to lick. By the way, that building is the administration building. And wiped that blood. Ultimately, he managed to control himself. I see. After that, I took Shen Qingwu to wash up. When I woke up the next day, another 2 days passed, excitedly showing me the blood on his hands. I glanced at it. What's going on? Shen Qingwu looked toward the window again. I followed his gaze, only to see two people lying on the ground, both with a large hole in their chests. A pair of nunchucks was hanging next to the bodies. Seeing this, I understood instantly. But Shen Qingwu was shaking my hand back and forth. I understood his meaning immediately. So I took him to the restroom. After washing the blood off his hands, we returned to the classroom. I had just thrown the two bodies out the window when Yuan came over with her laptop. She gave me a nod and walked to the desk to start working. A while later, Ji Chengyu's nauseating face appeared at the classroom door. Where is Lu Yi? What did you do to him? I looked at him with a calm face. Who is Lu Ye? Don't play dumb with me. He's the guy with the dyed green hair. Then it dawned on me. So one of those two from last night was named Lu Ye. But I still pretended not to know anything. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know any Lu Ye either. Do you think I'd believe that? He didn't go missing sooner or later. But he disappeared right when you arrived. If it wasn't you, who else could it be? What are you barking about here? If someone is missing, go find them yourself. Stop shouting around me. The sound of our arguing attracted many students to watch, including Lu He. He asked in confusion, "What's wrong? What happened?" Only then did Jiu Chenyu's tone soften a bit. Lu Ye and Tiju are gone. Lu, he thought for a moment. Maybe they went out for supplies? Impossible. Without my orders. They wouldn't leave on their own. I took the chance to interject. Are you so sure that they would listen to you? Maybe they were already sick of you and ran away while you were asleep. Jiu Chenyu's eyes turned red with anger. He wanted to strike right then, but he couldn't beat me. Lu He tried to diffuse the tense atmosphere. Maybe they really did go out for something. They'll be back later. Just be patient and wait. I'll trust Lu He this once. If they're not back by dark, I'll definitely come to you for answers. After dropping that threat, Jiu Chenju left with a cold face. Passing the warehouse, the man with glasses guarding it gestured to him. The food in the warehouse is almost gone. Then send someone to find more. All right, I'll go arrange it now. The glasses man was about to leave when Jiu Chenyu stopped him. Wait. I'll give you a new list. Arrange it according to that. The names on that list were all people who didn't follow his orders well. Such people were just thorns in the camp. It was better to send them out for supplies. If they died outside, it would save some rations. It was like killing two birds with one stone. Thinking of this, the corners of Jiu Chenyu's mouth gradually curled into a pleased grin. If things continued like this, within a few days, only those obedient to him would remain. By then, he could properly teach that guy who made him lose face a lesson. Suddenly, a soft, seductive voice came from nearby. Young Master Jiu, so this is where you are. I've been looking for you. Jiu Chenyu looked up and saw a heavily dressed up Zhang Weiwei walking toward him. Why are you here? Where's Lu He? Why isn't he with you? A classmate has a fever. He's helping take care of them. Upon hearing this, a sleazy smile appeared on Jiu Chenyu's face. Since Lu He was tied up for now, wasn't this the perfect time to thank me? Thinking this, the way Jiu Chenyu looked at Zhang Weiwei became perverted. Did you need something from me? Zhang Weiwei bit her lip. Can't I look for you even if there's nothing? Of course you can. I happen to miss you too. A hint of shyness flashed in Zhang Weiwei's eyes. Oh, you're so annoying. You're making me blush. Seeing her like this, Jiu Chenyu felt a heat in his lower abdomen, and a wicked fire surged up. He impatiently tried to pull Zhang Weiwei by the waist, but she dodged him. Young Master Jiu, aren't you afraid of being seen? I'd be so embarrassed. Jiu Chenyu laughed loudly. Ha 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 ha! How about this? I happen to be going to the warehouse to check supplies. Why don't you come with me? Zhang Weiwei nodded repeatedly. Okay. The two of them entered the warehouse one after another. I knew you'd be here. Jiu Chenyu, trailing behind, locked the door. He impatiently tried to kiss Zhang Weiwei, but she sidestepped him again. Jiu Chenyu scratched his head in frustration. Now what? Zhang Weiwei first scanned the supplies in the warehouse, then spoke casually. Young master, there doesn't seem to be much food left. Jiu Chenyu answered dismissively. It's enough to last until my father's people arrive. As he spoke, he began taking off his clothes. Stop talking. Hurry up, it won't be good if we're found later. Zhang Weiwei chuckled. Young master, can your father really spare a hand to save you? What do you mean by that? But Zhang Weiwei changed the subject, covering her mouth with a soft laugh. I was just guessing. Don't be so nervous. Oh, right. I suddenly remembered Lu. He asked for my help. Bye-bye, young master. Zhang Weiwei walked out after speaking, leaving Jiu Chenyu standing there awkwardly alone, looking like a total clown. On the other side, I was clearing out zombies when I suddenly heard a cry for help from a distance. I looked over there holding my baseball bat. By the window of a building, a woman was screaming at me. I couldn't help but complain. Is this woman looking for death? Shouting for help in the apocalypse is extremely dangerous behavior. I knew she wanted to get my attention, but I had no intention of saving her. However, this accidentally helped me. Hearing the noise, the zombies in the open space all shuffled slowly toward the source of the sound. I said to Shen Jingwu, let's go. We can finish early today. But this made the people in the building anxious. Where are they going? Did they not hear my cry for help? Seeing more and more zombies gathering, she had no choice but to shut her mouth and weep quietly. Back in the classroom, I asked Ruan Yuan Yuan. Did you hear a woman shouting just now? Ruan Yuan Yuan nodded. I did. It sounds like Teacher Wen. You know her? She's our school doctor. I thought for a moment. Do you want me to save her? My question made Ruan Yuan Yuan's hand on the mouse pause. The number of student survivors decreased again. When I first arrived, there were about 50 surviving students. I estimate only about 30 people are left now. At the same time, a sense of panic begins to spread. That day, I pointed at Shen Qingwu and said to Ruan Yuan Yuan, keep an eye on him for me. I need to go to the administration building. It's inconvenient to bring him along. The reason I waited 2 days before going to save her was to let that woman named Wen Ning fall into total despair. That way, when I save her, she will be truly grateful to me. Half an hour later, I reached my destination. But there were over a dozen zombies wandering around. It's impossible to take them all out by surprise. I must finish this quickly. I took a deep breath and suddenly charged toward the mini fire station. The zombies noticed me immediately and surrounded me with roars. Seeing this, I ran forward with all my might. Before the zombies could corner me, I rushed into the mini fire station. 2 walkie-talkies, a fire suit, and an escape rope. I packed them all up to take away. While I was focused on looting supplies, I didn't expect a zombie to be just 3 meters away. Luckily, my reaction was fast enough. I quickly slipped into the 3rd floor restroom of the admin building. Wen Ning's consciousness was already fading. In her daze, she vaguely heard a loud bang as the door was kicked open. Then, a boy's voice came through. Is she dead? What a pity, I'm too late. Wen Ning snapped her eyes open. Using all her strength, she shouted, I'm still alive! Please save me. I threw a baseball bat to her. Can you still move? If you want to live, hold on to your weapon. Wen Ning gritted her teeth, supporting herself against the wall to stand up. I can do it. I led Wen Ning out of the room, only to see a zombie wandering up. I stepped forward, swinging an axe into the zombie's head. With just one hit, the zombie was finished. Seeing this, I couldn't help but think that an axe is indeed more useful. Wen Ning, following behind, was completely stunned. This person kills zombies with such ease and leisure. By the time I reached the staircase, she finally snapped out of it and hurriedly followed. There were many zombies on the stairs, all of whom had followed me in. Outside, the terrain was too open. If I were surrounded, I'd have to face attacks from all directions. But now, with only one staircase, only one zombie could reach me at a time. I was naturally full of confidence. Plus, with the high ground, I could easily hack at their heads and necks. In just a few minutes, a layer of zombie corpses covered the stairs. Wen Ning couldn't help but stare at me again. In her heart, I became even taller and more sacred. But just then, her ankle was suddenly grabbed. Right by her feet was a zombie with half its face bitten off. Instantly, Wen Ning was too scared to move. She was shaking like a leaf, and her small eyes were watery. I stood aside, indifferent. Aren't you going to hit it with the bat? Are you saving it for the new year? My words made Wen Ning's face flush. She raised the baseball bat over her head. I had left this one that got away on purpose, closed her eyes, and swung hard. I watched coldly the whole time. I wanted to use this cruelest, most direct way to make Wen Ning grow up quickly. Well done. Upon receiving my affirmation, Wen Ning felt an unprecedented joy. Not long after, Ruan Yuan Yuan stood by the window and shouted excitedly, You're back! Shen Qingwu stood beside her, his expressionless face showing no emotion. But his gaze kept following me from afar. Many other students were also attracted, including Jiang Weiwei. She was currently staring outside with glowing eyes. When I brought Wen Ning to the window, Ruan Yuan Yuan was about to open it. But Jiang Weiwei was faster. She pushed the window open and reached out to me. But I ignored her and jumped in through the window myself. Instead, it was Wen Ning who took Jiang Weiwei's hand and struggled to climb in. After steadying herself, Wen Ning said, Thank you, thank you. Jiang Weiwei's smile was a bit stiff. You're welcome. Teacher Wen Ning, welcome to the group. Other students immediately surrounded Wen Ning, all talking at once. It was clear that Wen Ning was quite popular among the students. I ignored the noisy crowd and led Shen Qingwu upstairs. Wait for me. After Wen Ning called out, she left the students and followed us. The students looked at each other, not understanding why Teacher Wen Ning ran off and left them. At this time, 4 women on the 2nd floor appeared at my classroom door at the same time. Ruan Yuan Yuan adjusted her glasses while eyeing the other 3. Out of the 4, only she had a legitimate reason to be there. The other 3 didn't even know why they came. I was also momentarily stunned seeing the 4 women at the door, but soon returned to normal. I lifted the pot lid, and a rich aroma instantly filled the entire classroom. The 4 women smelled the fragrance and couldn't help but swallow their saliva. I first served a bowl for myself and Shen Qingwu. Then I served another bowl and handed it to Ruan Yuan Yuan. While Ruan Yuan Yuan ate, she used a smug look to provoke the others. Wen Ning had been starving for so many days, surviving solely on willpower until now. So after smelling the aroma, her reaction was the most extreme. She was practically drooling a river. Yet she still struggled to thank me. Thank you for saving me. Suddenly, the system panel appeared before my eyes. Target name, Wen Ning. Identity, school doctor. Favorability, 50. Hand-holding reward. Medical kit, medical technique manual. First kiss reward, zombie virus vaccine. Complete conquest reward, medical room, and supporting medical equipment. Seeing this, I curled my lips in satisfaction. It seems my previous decision to ignore her was correct. Her favorability shot straight to 50. I asked Wen Ning, want to eat? Ruan Yuan Yuan, listening from the side, instantly got goosebumps. Yes, I want to very much. Work for me. I can give you the same treatment as her. 1 bowl of meat and 1 bowl of vegetables a day. Ruan Yuan Yuan, who was eating happily, heard this, and suddenly felt the meat in her bowl wasn't as tasty anymore. As for Wen Ning, she agreed without hesitation. I agree, no problem. So I served her a bowl as well. She immediately began to devour it. It seems she really was starving. I then turned my gaze to the remaining 2. Target name, Zheng Weiwei. Identity, materialistic girl/student. Favorability, 10. Hand-holding reward, a car. First kiss reward, a 100 square meter house. Complete conquest reward, a 1000 square meter house. Inquiring the system in my mind, I learned that the rewarded car can be any model specified. From an Emigrant or Ferrari to an off-roader, even a tank can be obtained. In addition, the 100 SQM house was also tempting. It could double the size of my safe house. It seems Jiang Weiwei still has some utility value. As for Lu He's rewards, they were a bit lackluster. Jiang Weiwei keenly noticed the change in my gaze. She brushed her hair and spoke coyly. Excuse me, can I also work for you? She felt disgusted in her heart, but she didn't think Jiang Weiwei's seduction would work. After all, in her impression, I only take in people who are useful to me. Unexpectedly, I nodded and agreed. Sure, the reward is the same as those 2. Ruan Yuan Yuan's eyes widened upon hearing this. What can this Jiang Weiwei do? How could she deserve the same treatment as herself? At this moment, Jiang Weiwei took the bowl, one-handed her. His fingers seemed to brush across my hand inadvertently. I could see his hesitation. You can also choose to stay here. Of course I choose to follow you. Jiang Weiwei is a smart person. She knows that staying here would surely lead to a miserable end. It's better to take a gamble by following me. Our commotion quickly drew a crowd of onlookers. They immediately began to whisper among themselves. Where are these people going? They aren't thinking of going outside, are they? It's better if they leave. I've been tired of looking at them for a long time. Lu, he was also in the crowd, listening to his classmates' discussions. His brow was furrowed. Even though I rejected him yesterday and said such harsh words, he still couldn't bring himself to watch us go to our deaths. So he rushed out of the crowd and came forward. Where are you going? Leaving this place. Anyway, it's not like you guys want us here. My rhetorical question immediately stumped Lu He. Just as he was about to speak, a voice came from behind him. That's right, we indeed do not welcome you. However, the others can leave. Teacher Ning, you are the school doctor. Stay and be with us. We really need you. This kid, Ji Chengyu, knows the importance of a doctor. He's clearly trying to use the students to morally blackmail Wen Ning. I immediately flew into a rage. Damn it. Poaching people from me? But before I could flare up, Wen Ning took a step forward. There isn't even medicine here. It's useless for me to stay. Better to leave. But you're a teacher. Even if you do nothing, everyone will feel much more at ease with you here. Ji Chengyu still wanted to struggle. But Wen Ning was not moved at all. She was determined to go with me. Seeing that he couldn't persuade Wen Ning, Ji Chengyu didn't bother to keep the others. In his eyes, besides Wen Ning being useful, Ruan Yuan Yuan and Jiang Weiwei were just dead weight. Enough talk, let's go. I didn't want to argue with him anymore. I turned around to leave. The girls behind me immediately followed. Since the apocalypse broke out, this was the first time Jiang Weiwei had left the school building. She looked around nervously, ready to bolt at any moment. However, what made her sigh in relief was that there were no living zombies here. Only zombie corpses scattered everywhere, walking to the empty lot behind the school. I stopped. Jiang Weiwei suddenly panicked. Why did we stop? Well, there are no zombies. We should leave quickly. We've arrived. Arrived where? This is the middle of nowhere. How can anyone live here? This guy must be crazy. If I had known, I wouldn't have come out with him. I didn't care what Jiang Weiwei was thinking. My mind was entirely on the system. System, extract the property reward. Design blueprint detected. Build according to blueprint? The scene before their eyes left everyone shocked and speechless. Ruan Yuan was the first to recognize it. She looked at me in shock. Just as she was about to say something, I interrupted her directly. Don't ask so much. You only need to know that I can keep you alive. That's enough. Jiang Weiwei's previous gloom vanished instantly. She was so overjoyed she felt like offering herself to me on the spot. I walked straight to the security door made of titanium alloy. There was an electronic fingerprint lock beside it. After registering my own fingerprint, I also registered one for Shen Qingwu. As for Wen Ning and Ruan Yuan, I'll wait until their favorability reaches 60. And that Jiang Weiwei is too scheming, with too many hidden agendas. Without 80 favorability points, don't even think about it. The titanium alloy doors slowly opened. I led everyone inside. Since the area wasn't large, the safe house only had one living room, 3 rooms, 1 bathroom, and a set. But the system was quite generous. Not only did it provide a full set of furniture, it even included a diesel generator. Pity only 1 barrel of diesel was given. The women looked around curiously as soon as they entered, exclaiming in surprise from time to time. Oh my god, there's actually a bathtub in the bathroom. And hot water. Ah! Such a large storage room. And it even has a refrigeration function. Fantastic! The structure of this building was exactly like the blueprint she had drawn. My god, there are actually beds in the bedrooms. Even the living room has a sofa. Hearing their amazement, I couldn't feel more satisfied. And this is just the beginning. As long as I keep doing favorability missions, my safe house will get bigger and bigger, with more and more functions. Jiang Weiwei proactively suggested, let's divide the rooms. Boss gets one to himself. Ruan Yuan and I will share one. Teacher Wen and Shen Qingwu in another. As soon as she spoke, Ruan Yuan immediately jumped to object. I don't want a room with you. I want to be in a room with Teacher Wen. Qingwu didn't say anything, just silently pulled at the corner of my clothes. Fine then, boss and his sister in one room, Ruan Yuan and Teacher Wen in one. But Ruan Yuan was still unhappy. Why do you get a room all to yourself? The situation with boss and his sister, it's not like you didn't see it. And you refuse to stay with me, so I have to live by myself. I actually have a great idea. How about you just sleep alone in the living room? Ruan Yuan, are you determined to give me a hard time? Seeing that they were about to fight, I directly raised my voice. Stop arguing. We'll divide it, as Jiang Weiwei said. That's right, I saw it with my own eyes. As soon as I spoke, both of them immediately withered. Ruan Yuan huffily dragged Wen Ning back to the room. Jiang Weiwei also closed her door. Busy with who knows what inside, I originally wanted to walk around the safe house more, but Shen Qingwu wouldn't let go of me. She pointed to the remaining room and squeezed out 2 words in a childish voice. Sleep. I actually wanted to refuse her, but I couldn't. Shen Qingwu's big eyes were too lethal, and my nerves had been tight these past few days. I really did need a good rest. As soon as I lay down on the bed, Shen Qingwu pressed closer, burrowing into my arms like a kitten. I had to turn over and hold her, and fell asleep shortly after. Being a zombie, Shen Qingwu didn't feel sleepy. She just buried her small face in my chest, quietly feeling my heartbeat. Meanwhile, over at the school building, a student noticed the building that appeared out of nowhere, and immediately ran to report it to Jiyu Chengyu. Jiyu Chengyu listened with a puzzled look. He had no memory of that strange house behind the school. Yet, in his memory, it seemed as if that house had always been there. Even though they didn't see the safe house appear from nothing, under the system's influence, their subconscious felt that it was perfectly normal for the house to be there. Jiyu Chengyu stared at the reporting student. You saw that outsider take people into that house with your own eyes. Young Master Jiyu, that house looks quite sturdy. How about we go and seize it? Are you stupid? If we're talking about safety, isn't our building enough? Leaving such a large place behind, why go to some small, shabby rooms? Is your brain filled with water? Or is mine? When I woke up, it was already 5 p.m. In a daze, I felt a small hand messing around beneath me. I was startled and wide awake in an instant. I grabbed that misbehaving hand in one go. What are you doing? Shen Qingwu blinked his big innocent eyes and stayed silent. I pinched his little round face. Don't play dumb with me. I know you can understand me. Hungry. Only then did it dawn on me. So this little guy was hungry, but didn't want to wake me up. He planned to take matters into his own hands to get fed. Pity he didn't know the trick. He struggled for a long time and got nothing out of it. All right. I'll get up now and fix you something to eat. Walking into the living room, I found the other 3 were with Ruan Yuan. As soon as they saw me, they said, Boss, come quickly and look at the monitor. The monitor screen was showing the scene outside the house. A few scattered white dots were drifting down from the sky, but they vanished quickly. Ruan Yuan asked with a face full of curiosity, "Are those willow catkins?" Wen Ning is from the north. She recognized what it was at a single glance. "No, it's snowing." However, the other two born and bred locals looked skeptical. "Are you kidding? This is Binhai City. I've lived here all my life and never seen snow." Only I knew in my heart what lay behind this eerie phenomenon. The fourth wave of the apocalypse's natural disasters had finally arrived. Based on the memories of my previous life, this snow would fall for 3 whole days. The temperature would plummet all the way. By the third day, taking a piss could instantly freeze it into an icicle. I couldn't just sit and wait during these 3 days. I had to hurry and get more supplies while the snow had just started. "Ruan Yan, what do they sell in your school supermarket?" Ruan Yuan was stunned at first, but seeing my serious face, she immediately began to describe it seriously. It turned out that the shopping area at Binhai University wasn't so much a supermarket, as it was a small-scale shopping mall. Food, daily necessities, they had everything. Basically, it allowed students to buy everything they wanted without ever leaving the campus. So this trip to the supermarket was a must. But not right now. I had to wait a bit longer. The next day after lunch, I gave orders directly to Zhang Weiwei and Wen Ning. "You two get ready. Come out with me and Shen Xingwu." Upon hearing this, Zhang Weiwei's face instantly slumped. If she could, she would just stay in the safe house for the rest of her life. So she started acting cute with me. "Boss, can I not go out?" I looked at her expressionlessly. "Sure, but my place doesn't support idle people." I'll go. Is it okay if I go? Do you have to be so scary?" I then added, "Remember to wear more clothes. It's freezing outside." Seeing herself being ignored, Ruan Yuan got anxious. "What about me? Your task is to draw the maps." "Don't worry, I won't just kick you out." Hearing this, Ruan Yuan breathed a sigh of relief. She really thought she had become one of the idle people I mentioned. The moment we stepped out of the safe house, the snow on the ground was already over our ankles. Heavy snow was still drifting from the sky. The worst part was, the perceived temperature outside had likely affected Zhang Weiwei and Wen Ning. Even though they wore several layers of clothes, they were still freezing. Their voices began to tremble as they spoke. "It's so cold. Boss, how about we just go back?" "It's fine. It'll be better once we get in the car." Zhang Weiwei looked doubtfully in the direction I was pointing. To her shock, she discovered a massive heavy-duty truck. Zhang Weiwei was stunned. "Oh my god, where did this vehicle come from?" I gave a slight smile. "Where from?" "It's the reward you contributed, of course." Actually, I had been torn before about whether to choose an off-road vehicle or an armored car. But considering the current situation, I felt getting a heavy truck first was the most reliable choice. In case something happens later, it's not impossible that it could turn into Optimus Prime for me.